CJ Stroud was throwing at mandatory minicamp today, which means that we can all just settle the hell down. You know me, I'm going to stay nervous no matter what, just because I don't like any reports of soreness, tightness, whatever. But here's CJ Stroud basically telling us, hey, y'all need to chill the hell out.
Yeah, I mean, I was already throwing, before you guys see me out there pretty normally. I think y'all don't have much to talk about, so everything is blown up in the off season. So I'm fine, man. I'm really okay.
Oh, my goodness. All right, hold on a second. If my mic is off, I'm going to flip out. Now my mic's not off. I had the wrong mic. Here we go. Oh, don't do that, you bastards. Just joking. All right. Yes, I agree. We don't have that much to talk about, although the Astros, thank God. The dark days were in 2013. I'm going to be nervous whenever CJ has any soreness whatsoever in his throwing motion. But as many people reported, obviously, today, Jonathan Alexander had some good videos of CJ Stroud throwing. It's made some really nice passes to Jaden Higgins during the unfilmed portion of practice. So we can all breathe a sigh of relief that at least this is nothing drastic or anything. CJ talked about a few different things that I really liked today. One was about his shoulder. 2 was about Nick Caley's offense and how he's adapting to all the changes. And then 3 was some of the offseason work that CJ's been doing at improving his body and what have you, which is intriguing because we all saw a more mobile version of CJ Stroud in the second half of last season. So here is Landry Locker asking a question about his shoulder, which, CJ really downplayed. Yet, obviously acknowledged that there had been something he was working through. Landry asked him if previous experience rehabbing shoulder injuries have helped him in this regard, in this instance.
Shoulder injuries in the past, does that help you when stuff like this comes up? And how was this one in relation to some of the past issues?
Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay. Basically, he said, I didn't, hold on a second.
Shoulder injuries in the past, and how was this one?
All right. He said that it helped. He basically diminished and downplayed most of the shoulder issues. The question that I really liked, when they got to it was, how do you like Nick Caley's offense so far?
Him as a person. I think for me, I buy into people. I really don't buy into system. I kind of have that thing about life. Is it's the people and the relationships that kind of take things and make a rocket ship to the stars. So just him as a person, man, he has probably the most juice I've ever seen in my life, just naturally. I'm a very laid back, chill guy, except for when I'm in between the lines. But he's 6 in the morning, he's up, he's at it. So that kind of gets me motivated. And just how he buys into his players, and he calls me a lot. I don't always answer because he always yelling and stuff. But I appreciate it though, and it's it's been great. He's implementing a lot of things he's done in the past, which is important as well. The system is important, and he's doing a great job. As you guys have seen, we've been able to have a pretty good OTA off-season program. From what you guys can see, and even things that y'all can't see, building that foundation so we can rocket ship once we snap that ball, against LA. So, I love Nick, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, look, that's all very positive stuff. I like that he likes Nick Caley enough already, and that he's comfortable enough with him that he can joke about not accepting his calls. That's a quote that looks way better in print than it does when you actually see it. I'm curious to see if some of the aggregators will just blow that up into something that it's not. Just like I apparently did with his shoulder. I make no apologies. I will remain fretful anytime my quarterback has anything that limits him from a practice. Damn it. Buying into people, not the system. I don't think it's a slight on Bobby. This is where we have to be careful, where every compliment you give about the new guy isn't a slight against the old guy. The Buffalo media was trying to do that whenever Stephon Diggs said anything positive about CJ Stroud last year. They would say, is this a shot at Josh Allen? No, look, sometimes a compliment is just a compliment. I think it's obvious that Caley has a much different personality, different energy level, but I think also very much more of a focus on the individuals, coaching the fundamentals, getting the system to mold around the players rather than making players conform to the system. That comes in big when we start talking about guys like Dameon Pierce, the offensive linemen, and what are they actually good at? What can we lean into? That's all very interesting. It's all theory right now. We don't know exactly how it's going to look. But I like the way it sounds, and I like that I think Nick Caley is genuinely committed to it. CJ was asked about having more control over the offense this year.
Yeah, that'd be between me and Kels, and that was something that I did want, and I'm gotten that now. So, but that takes ownership. We've been able to watch a lot of Brady, and there was clips back in like 2003 or 4 when him and Josh McDaniels, first started. And so, it took him time to master it. So it'll take time for me to master it fully. But I am buying into it and trying my best to be as great as I can at it. So, it's something that I wanted and I'm getting.
All right, so they're watching Tom Brady. Pretty good. Remember, dark moment in Texans history was when Brock Osweiler said that Bill O'Brien liked to show him a lot of clips of Brady, and Osweiler gave some quote that I still hate to this day. I should have it memorized. Something like, "I like to be my own man." No, why don't you give it a go imitating Tom Brady for a little bit? Maybe that's a good idea. And with CJ, I think in trying to grasp this offense, which I think is, remember, Nick Caley was brought to the Rams partly because Sean McVay was transitioning from a zone-based system to an old school gap scheme, and he wanted Caley's experience with New England and how they ran it there. So you're going to see a lot of Bill O'Brien elements, which does include a lot of command by the quarterback at the line of scrimmage, a lot of option routes, a lot of complexity, and it takes a while to get really good at it. One of Bill O'Brien's real fatal flaws, I think, when it came to being an NFL offensive coordinator who's not coaching Tom Brady, is that I don't think he realized, I think a lot of coaches that coach in New England don't realize that Tom Brady's football IQ is the equivalent of running a 4.15 40. It's very rare, and it's not just so simple to say, well, yeah, I'm going to have 4 different receiving options, and all of them are going to run potentially 3 different routes, and then just let it all come together in your head, like you're Russell Crowe in that movie about the physicist and whatnot. It takes a little bit of time, and that's where I think hopefully Caley's people skills will come into play here, and also adapt to how much a quarterback can handle and build on it as you go, because you don't just jump right out of the gate. I'll have some thoughts on the offensive line later. I want to talk to some of the guys who are out there today about some of the issues on the offensive line. Not to get off on too much of a tangent, I really can't worry too much when a rookie gets beat in a pass rush by Will Anderson or Danielle Hunter. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, especially when you're learning a new scheme, learning the new terminology. The offensive line is going to look shaky for a while. I just kind of accept that before any of this starts up, that there's going to be some issues on the offensive line. It's a matter of how quickly can they adapt and adjust. Next question was, okay, so if we get into CJ and how he wanted to transform his body this offseason, this is good stuff, and this is interesting on what his goals were going into the offseason from a personal training perspective.
Yeah, the goal was just to be bigger, faster, stronger, like every offseason, but be more intentional about it. So have more fluidity in my hits, lose a couple pounds, run faster, and I got all those done. I think I PR'd on almost everything this offseason, which has been really dope. So shout out to Mike Clint. Clint's been with me every day, and he does a lot of. He had a track background, but has bought in and done a lot of things with us as quarterbacks. So I'm very, very grateful that we got these things done. But now it's ball time, and this offseason will be very important on getting back with my throwing regimen and with my guys in LA. So I got those things done, and I'm grateful for it.
So not to go back to the Tom Brady comparison, but I think it's appropriate because Nick Caley is going to be, a lot of what he learned was what they did in New England, and that's the epitome of a quarterback being in control of everything. Tom Brady was a guy who did not have nearly the athletic traits of CJ Stroud. It's not like CJ Stroud is a great athlete by modern NFL quarterback standards, but we know he's a much better athlete than people give him credit for, partly because he didn't run much at Ohio State, and then partly because he's duck-footed. And you guys know I am a defender of the duck-footed athlete. LeBron James, duck-footed, seems to serve him all right. He does okay. So when it comes to his ability to move, yes, there's that one thing. It does, just as Tom Brady will tell you, if you buy his TB12 method, that pliability, flexibility, all of these things, it helps keep you healthy throughout the season. Tom Brady would get to the point where he would train how to fall, so he didn't land on his throwing shoulder. All these things that go into injury prevention with quarterbacks, it's got very real consequences. So CJ really attacking the physical side of things. I like this. He was then asked about how does that translate into your actual football play?
Just everything, yeah. I mean, pocket, mobility, running out the pocket, throwing the rock, everything kind of works hand in hand. So a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I think the pocket mobility was a focus of emphasis last year. I think CJ was really good by rookie standards at that. Last year, I think by force of necessity, he had to be sometimes more out of the pocket mobile than pocket mobile. It's hard. The pressure up the middle, there's very little a quarterback can do in terms of pocket mobility, because even if your offensive tackles are blocking well, the pressure up the middle gives you no avenue of escape, because your offensive tackles are, allowing guys to run past you, and then you get pressure right up the gut. It's tough. I think he's going to continue to develop in that regard. A couple other things, just on meeting Chubb. This is nice because this is always, I really enjoy CJ basically displaying how he's still a kid in a lot of ways when he's meeting some of his heroes. So this was on him meeting Nick Chubb for the first time.
Yeah, he's a great player. I met him today for the first time, and I told him, man, I've been respecting his game since he was in college, and I think he's a great back, and I think he'll do some great things for us, and I'm excited to have him as a teammate. So, I actually didn't recognize him when I walked in. He's very quiet, so it was. I was like, "Dang, what's up, Nick?" I kind of got nervous because he been a baller since I've been a kid. So, but I'm very excited to have him.
He said, "What's up, Nick? What's up, Nick?" I was excited to see Nick Chubb out there today. Nick Chubb is a topic for 17 other videos, but Nick Chubb and his veteran presence, and man, everything that I've seen, read, and talked to about with people up in Cleveland is that Nick Chubb sounds in a lot of ways like an Andre Johnson, man. He's not going to be overly talkative. He's not going to give a speech or anything. He just wants to go about his business and work really hard and be all about the team. It's everything you would ask for in a superstar. Where is his ceiling now after the second devastating injury that he's had in his career? Because he had one in college that was multiple ligaments. This one, it was even worse than one he had in college. But he has come back from that injury on the same knee, by the way, once before in his career. So I would say the sky's the limit. It's just I don't want to put any restrictor plate on what Nick Chubb can be. I do like having veterans. It's one more veteran with the running backs that can help with guys like Dameon Pierce or Woody Marks or Jawar Jordan or JJ Taylor, all of those guys. And they're all learning this offense together. That can be a plus, that can be a minus, but they are all learning this offense together. Last one was on the offseason additions that the Texans made.
Yeah, I think we brought in the right guys, the right mindsets, guys who've won a lot of games, guys who've been in those opportunities in the playoffs. And I think, right now, though, it's not about that. It's about connection, chemistry on the field. Excuse me. And I think that stuff would take care of itself.
Did you see the way he caught that mic? That's reaction time. Working on in the offseason in the simulator and what have you. Didn't even phase him. Kept his eyes downfield and kept his eye on the target, where they should be, answering the question. That's an unflappability. I'm going to read in. Now that I can't read too much into his shoulder issues, I'm going to read too much into every other little thing. Some good comments here that have gotten lost as I've scrolled down. Are there things in the offense you want to see brought over from the previous years, or just a completely new offense? It's an interesting question. Ideally, every team wants to be good at zone run blocking. Every team wants to be good at gap scheme. You'd like to, especially if you run it the way New England ran it when they were good, is that they're very versatile from week to week. And a lot of that comes into just ground level coaching at the offensive line, with the tight ends, with the wide receivers. All of that is guys understanding their responsibilities. The thing I would not like to bring over from the old offense was that it just did seem that at times guys were very unclear of their responsibilities. I know offensive line was a major issue, but the tight ends blocking was also an issue. Cade Stover got some really nice praise from D'Amico Ryans today, by the way. as I said, he expects him to take a huge jump from year 1 to year 2. But even on the wide receivers, those screens, part of the problem with the screens was that the wide receivers were not sure of their responsibilities. The other guys, the other wide receivers, not the target, weren't blocking the appropriate guys. And because of the predictability, I think, of the formation tendencies and then whatever tells the offense was giving in their stances and splits, the good defenses just flat out knew when a screen was coming. I've never been more excited in my life than in the Kansas City Chiefs game in the playoffs when they had a well-executed screen where it looked like they actually caught Kansas City by surprise. And then everybody was out in position. It was beautiful, but it took the entire regular season and on into the playoffs until you saw some level of precision with it. All I ask for is world-class precision, a top 5 offense, the quarterback playing at an all-pro level, and that's pretty much it. I feel like that's a reasonable enough expectation. Yeah, Brandon said brand spanking new. That's all. And you know how it is. Teams are all running the same stuff. It's just a matter of how much they lean into. And I don't know what's going on with the Seth Payne Jacob paternity battle, but it looks entertaining. So did Nick Caserio. Seth, what do you think about the Caserio praise? I don't know what you're referencing, but there we have it. I don't know about that. I'm going to do a D'Amico reaction here in a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Please like, subscribe, and please, this is my one request. Don't mess around with me by saying that the mic is off when I first start up, because I've got such a history of that it screws me up completely. And then I'm not CJ Stroud. I can't handle these little technical things and then get back on track right away. So now I'm sure I won't get anybody messing with